All right, we're live with Streamcast number 15. Actually, and I forgot to double check. Can you say something?
Hello.
Okay. I just want to make sure I could hear your voice because I forgot to check it before we started. I was in a rush there. We're keeping it nice and simple today. We're going to just talk about our thoughts on the Dragon Ball superhero movie. I'm not going to do sometimes we'll do like a spoiler. I'll do like a spoiler review or a spoiler-free one rather, and then I'll do like a one with spoilers. We're just gonna do spoilers, so we're gonna talk about the whole fucking movie because we got an hour, and there's a lot to go into. I have the entire plot because I can't remember. I don't know how people remember these movies like right after they come out. They're like, I remember this scene.
Like I said, man, my it's not fresh in my memory anymore, so I don't.
Right.
I don't.
And that's why we're gonna go through it all. First of all, though, what the hell is that?
What is what?
That is not real. There's like clearly some kind of bot in the fucking chat because it came in and said.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the pictures.
No, there's a fucking message in the chat that I'm totally gonna ban this user right now. Because it says it's from somebody named Noriko123, and it says they donated $20, but it says they donated $20 like it's just typed out. Like it doesn't actually, they didn't actually donate $20. It just says
Funny.
It just says Noriko donated $20, and it says hello, I'm a new viewer here. Like, okay, well you're banned. All right. Anyway, well, first of all, I mean, just before we even get into any of the, plot points and whatnot, what did you think of the movie? What was your overall like? If you had to give it a number, if you had to,
if I had to give it a number, I would say it's probably anywhere from 80 to 85. It was a good movie, but it's not.
I assume.
Yeah. No, out of 10,000 actually. It's nice to see another movie where they give Gohan and Piccolo the spotlight, but the fact that they came out and said that the big, it's one of the most important pieces of the movie, aka transformations, were not canonical, just kind of removes a lot of the impact of,
I still, and
there's no character growth in it.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but what he's referring to is that and I think you got that from me, right? Yeah. I read an article stating that, and by the way, spoilers, this is all spoiler review. I'm going to remind, this is all spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, I'll give you like 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, quick 5 seconds. What he's referring to is that there was an interview, and I could look it up real quick, and then I'll give my thoughts and we'll get into the plot points. And I can read some comments as we go here. There was an interview with Superhero Canon, and I could even pull this up on the screen. Not Dragon Ball Heroes. Dragon Ball Superhero. Okay. Nope, that's not it either. Where is the article? I'm pretty sure it was comicbook.com, which is one of those
I thought you said it was Screen Rant.
Maybe it was the Screen Rant. That's right. Screen Rant. I was going to say comicbook.com did an article stating how this movie makes Android 21 canon, which I think is true. And boy, I have something to say about that later. But let me get this up for you guys if I can find it. Screen Rant. Where is it at? I can't find it. There was an article. I'm pretty sure it was on Screen Rant. I can't remember who it was, but it's somebody
You think it got taken down?
No, I don't think so. I probably just can't find it. Excuse me? Well, we'll just go back. It's fine. We got to move on with the review. But, yeah, essentially there was an article that said that the story is canon And it was an interview with, again, I can't remember who he was, but he worked on the movie. And I think he worked for Shueisha. Sorry, we got a crying baby because Diana's taking electrical cord. This is a disaster so far. Everybody's disaster. But basically he said that the transformations are not canon, but the story is. So, like, and again, this is why I'd need to find that review. So I'm not going to refer to that article too much until I can find it and confirm it and get whatever. But I think that's what you're referring to, and
it looks like I found it right here.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah, I'll
send it over. Yes, here it is. Was it Screen Rant? It was Screen Rant. And I can pull this up real quick, and then we'll get on with the review. But Gohan and Piccolo's new Dragon Ball Super forms are not officially not canon. New Super movie. It's considered a parallel story as far as the manga is concerned, and not canonical. Though a parallel story to me suggests that, like, while Goku and Vegeta are doing their thing or something, so that could still fit in. One interview by the head of Shueisha's. Do I need to take that, baby? Shueisha's Dragon Ball Room, Long Iyoku. That's how you would say it. Has shed some light on the creative direction the team working on the movie decided to go in. If she's gonna cry. Apart from other details about how the movie was conceptualized and later produced, we got a baby on stream. This interview also contains information relevant to Gohan and Piccolo within the Dragon Ball Super manga, alongside the creative direction for the movie. So who is this guy again? I missed it because I was distracted by that baby. The head of Shueisha's Dragon Ball Room. I don't know what that is, but I know Shueisha is involved with it. In translation by Twitter user Cypher Dragon Ball, a plethora of information is divulged that has heavy ramifications for the future of Dragon Ball content. It's stated that bringing back the Red Ribbon Army and selecting Gohan and Piccolo as the main characters were made earlier in the production. More pertinently, however, the information was revealed regarding the nature of Gohan and Piccolo's new transformations, Orange Piccolo and Beast Gohan. Spoilers. According to what's said here, the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie is meant to exist only as a sequel to Dragon Ball Super Broly and is not canon to the Dragon Ball Super manga. This, of course, means... So actually, this article is just saying that the movie is just not canon at all. It just acts as some kind of parallel story sequel to Broly. Jesus Christ. I just, like... Because that makes you go, like, okay, then what's the point of this movie again?
Yeah,
I mean, you can have non-canonical movies, but the way that it's set up, they fix plot holes and stuff in the super canon, so it's just like, why would they go through all that effort to do things like that if it's not going to be canonical? But who's sorry, I'm missing some comments here. Transformations are not canonical to even though the movie events do happen in the manga. Oh, they do happen in the manga. Okay, I still haven't. Whether it makes Dragon Ball FighterZ canon is an entirely different story, probably not. But I could see them still including Android 21 and not, having FighterZ canon. You could do that. I mean, that wouldn't be too out there. And Android 16's canonical name is Jivo? Okay, I didn't catch that.
They showed the family tree at one point in the movie.
You don't consider the manga the main canon? I mean, I personally I do, because that's what I grew. I mean, I did grow up with the anime, and that's what it drives me nuts. Like, what can we figure this canon out instead of just being like everything's canon? Because like it, or things are not. I don't fucking know. Just because like I did grow up with. I grew up with all of it, but like. The manga was generally what I followed to understand this is the original story of Dragon Ball. So, and besides, the manga's way ahead of the anime now anyway, so it's like...
I was going to say, I agree with that to a point. I would say that the manga would not be the one to follow up until after Tournament of Power. And then after that, it switches places. Then it's the new canon.
Yeah, and I'm aware that Toyotaro is the front runner of the manga, but Toriyama was helping him all the way up until the point of one of the more recent arcs. And now it's Toyotaro's story because Akira Toriyama's trying to get out of this. He's like, I'm so tired of this. I'm sure he's sick of Dragon Ball. Like, I mean, he probably loves Dragon Ball, but I mean, that might be true. But I think that regardless, like, you know, Toriyama has stated, I've read about the authors and stuff again with the Dragon Ball Super mangas, and he's stated, Toyotaro has stated that Toriyama plans on passing the torch to him. And I think that, to me, I'm like, well, this is the canonical. And even in that article, it states that head of Dragon Ball Room, it said somewhere something like, regardless of whether Toriyama is involved or not, the manga will continue to be the canonical editorial. It says, alongside the creative direction for the movie, some information in this interview may point to how Dragon Ball Super's manga will continue to be editorialized in the future with or without Toriyama's involvement. So I think that's kind of their plan. I mean, like, I love it or hate it, but it's one of those things that, to me, I think we're at a point with Dragon Ball where it's like, I don't mind things being not canon. I don't mind there being series that are not as good as others. I think I call it the Ninja Turtles thing, where we're in a thing with Ninja Turtles. Like, Ninja Turtles, the original run was done a long time ago. And then ever since then, we've had some good Ninja Turtle series. We've had some bad ones. We've had some good movies. We've had some bad movies. I do still wish that they could get some kind of canonical thing down so it's easy for fans to follow. Like, you know, maybe you like this story more, but this one's not canon. Like, can we get some fucking answers? Like, so I don't know, that stuff like that. But yeah, from what I understand, the way that they made it is that they told, I can't remember where I read this, but this was maybe like a year ago. They come up with the plot points for the manga and the anime, and then they basically are like, as long as you hit these plot points, you're fine. Which, you know, I'm sure there's a shit ton of plot points. So that's why there's only like slight differences between the two. I remember like reading the Goku Black Saga, and I thought the manga version was better. But I'm only up to Goku Black in the manga, so I don't know. I need to catch up, but I don't know. I don't know. I think that Toriyama up until this point has done most of the story, but I do think Toyotaro is taking over at some point. I think that Toriyama is trying to step out and just become more of like what he was in GT, where he was just kind of like, yeah, sure, go ahead, do that, like where he would just give them the okay on things. But nonetheless, we got a movie to get to, so let's see what we got. Well, we can start at the beginning. We might skim certain parts of this with like 40 minutes into it, I guess. So at the beginning of the movie, do you even remember the beginning? Just out of curiosity. I mean, I'm gonna read it. But
that's when they go and get Dr. Hedo from the prison.
That is right. So you have like this. They show the leader of the Red Ribbon Army's back. Boom. Again, spoilers for all this. And they have a new leader who is how is he related to the original again?
He's the son
of General Red?
Yeah, I believe so.
He's General Red's son.
He's called Magenta.
At the same time, he and his compadre, his Carmine. Minion, his right-hand man, Carmine, who is like actually one of the highlights of the movie for me.
I actually really liked Carmine.
We'll get to that.
Oh man.
But they go and they release they discover that Dr. Giro has a grandson, which this is one of the weird parts, by the way. So the beginning of the movie is kind of neat because they do like a lot of exposition for like, God, it lasted forever. It's like 10 minutes of just them in a laboratory doing exposition. They break Dr. Hedo out, which is the grandson of Giro, and they break him out, and then they do more exposition for like another 10 minutes while they're driving. So this movie has a lot of exposition, which, you know, I actually thought was nice that, hey, they're trying to give us some explanations for things. It might have gone on a little long at some points in the movie. Yeah. But I do think overall, like, Yes, and Hunter brings that up. Catching people up with the Red Ribbon story.
Yes, I was gonna say that's what I liked about it was the fact that they took, because you said that it went on a little while. I was like, but to me, I'm like, this series from back then is so old. I actually would kind of be more okay with them spending that 10 minutes to catch people up.
Well, and on top of that too, they don't just catch people up; they do a good job of explaining the situation in this movie. So General Red's son. What is his fucking name? Magenta. That's his name. He's rebuilding the Red Ribbon Army, and he basically tricks Dr. Giroux's son into grandson. Jesus. So he got a grandson, into believing that Goku and his group of friends have been the ones that are villains wreaking havoc on Earth for years, and that the androids were actually good people trying to save, whatever, which is fantastic. I love that, actually. I really love that, story plot. And before we go any further, because I might forget, there's another elephant in the room to address for people who might wonder, because it's displayed pretty well in this scene, and there's a couple scenes in the movie. What did you think of the animation? Because this first scene I actually thought it was one of the better scenes. Like, at the beginning of the movie, I was like, wow, this animation style is really going to work. And then there's a couple parts later on where it's like, I didn't love it. But when they're, driving in the car and stuff, I was really enjoying it.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I liked about it, but for the most part, I'm still going to stick to my guns of, I think this movie would have been better in traditional animation style as opposed to CG. It's good CG though. It is good CG.
It is.
There are very distinct differences between good and bad CG. Like, this is one of the few examples that is really good CG. I personally would have still liked to see traditional animation with some, how in Broly they had some CG sprinkled in there because it was just so fucking crazy. I would have been okay with that in this movie as well. Mostly with probably Cell Max, whenever that happens, and just all the beams and some of that stuff would have been more. I would have been more okay with, but overall, the movie's animation was good. Not my cup of tea, but it was good.
Yeah, I think I reflect that sentiment. I think that it actually works really well in a lot of areas, specifically when they do 3D spaces. And we'll get to the fight with Piccolo, his first fight, and the first fight in the movie, actually, which is really far in the movie. It's it's got to be 40 minutes in, right? It was a long wait. Maybe half an hour?
I guess it depends on that, because are you talking about when he first fights Gamma 2?
Yes.
Yeah, that's 30 minutes to 40 minutes.
Yeah, it was a long time. And, that fight, I thought the way they used 3D space was so cool. It actually feels like they're in a 3D environment, and the characters still look 2D at a lot of points. They're not as good as the Guilty Gear team, but it's pretty good. It's pretty darn good.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that they really tried.
Yeah, I if anybody's like, oh, I thought the animation was amazing, this is going to work for Dragon Ball Forever and Ever, to be honest, I wouldn't argue with that. It's just not my preference. I think it just comes down to preference.
Yeah.
Oh, so Gabe. Hi, Gabe. I do want to address before we we said we talked about the animation. We said how Magenta and Carmine, his right-hand man, Carmine, break out. You want to get in on this? No? Okay. She was talking, and then they break Hedo out. I do just want to point out, just because, and it's not important to the movie, but I just thought it was funny, and it does add to, this is where the Android 21 is canonical came in, and I assume what Hunter said about Android 16's name being canonical or whatever, maybe, because we don't know what's canon. I still can't figure it out. They show a family tree that has Dr. Giroux as the husband of Android 21, and I was like, what? Wait, you're telling me that he's bonking that, or he did, or did he just turn her into an android, and he's like, that's my, android wife? I wonder about that. And then and then they say that their son is Android 16, and I'm like, excuse me? Like, I was so dumbfounded by that, and I had to look it up when I get home. I was like, was there ever a thing that said this? Was this in Dragon Ball Heroes? Was it in Fighters? I've pretty much beat the shitty story to Fighters. Like,
for what? What are you asking?
The if there was ever a moment outside of this movie where they explained that Android 21 is the wife of Dr. Gero, even though she looks like 50 years younger, and then and then also, yeah, Gabe's like, wait, what? And that their son is Android 16. They never made that clear, right?
I'm pretty sure they said that Android 21 was Android 16's mother.
Okay. I don't remember that in the Fighters game, but I believe you. Okay. But they didn't say the Dr. Gero thing, maybe?
I haven't. I know I've seen cutscenes from the game, and I've seen a lot of like the story stuff, but I haven't actually played it, so I don't have a first-hand experience of it.
Okay. And then the last thing I did want to mention about that scene, we really will move on with the plot. I won't last this long, but I fucking love Carmine as the minion. He has some of the highlights, and I know exactly what you're thinking right now, how he has that fucking Carmine YouTube channel, like, called, like, I can't even remember, but, and he has, like, so Carmine is again, reiterate, he's the minion, the right-hand man of Magenta, the leader of the Red Ribbon Army. And he's got this, like, goofy haircut, like a long, what do you call that?
It's pompadour.
Pompadour. And he's like, he gives these like presentations on like the Z Warriors. You know, he's like, these are the, you know, the villains, and he's like, he has like a Carmine Presents presentation, which I think he does once or twice in the movie. And then he has his own Carmine YouTube channel that has like views and stuff. Do you want in on this, buddy? But I fucking, something about his character just like cracked me up in this movie that is trying to take itself seriously as a Dragon Ball movie. There's a lot of comedic moments, and he was one of the comedic highlights that legitimately made me laugh. Like, when Dragon Ball wants to be funny, it is legitimately funny. It's not like cringe funny or you have to be a fan. Like, there is like good humor in Dragon Ball.
Okay, so I'm looking at some of the stuff with Android 21, and I'm gonna take a kind of like an educated guess and say that what I think might have happened was at some point Android 21 as a human died, and Gero kept her brain intact and, like, you know, kept it in storage somewhere, and eventually whenever androids became current enough, he put her brain into an android body modeled after her back when she was younger.
Whoa, that's okay. I could see that. That's interesting. That's interesting, because I was gonna say she just looks so much younger. I was like, I'm sorry, but, and maybe it's just my brain, but the first thing I thought of when I saw that family tree was like, you're telling me this like 80-year-old looking man is bonking this like 30-year-old, like, I was like, excuse me?
Yeah,
I mean, I thought to myself in my head, I was like, there's no way Dragon Ball would do that. They probably have some explanation, like he turned her into an android and just called her as, like, but that could make sense. He had a wife before, maybe, and she died, and he kept her brain. I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, because apparently in Fighters, there's a conversation between her and the player that she's actually less than 10 years old, so...
As an android, I assume.
Yeah,
but
as an
not
android.
as like a body. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Gabe said, isn't she like 7 or something? I have played the story to Fighters. It's not good, so I don't remember mostly. So Magenta convinces Dr. Hedo, grandson of Gero, to that Bulma and her corporation, the Evil Capsule Corporation, are like the terrible people, and that Cell and the androids and Dr. Gero created those androids to actually defeat that evil, and that Bulma's group is like scheming things, and that the Red Ribbon Army is actually the good guys, because believe it or not, Dr. Gero's grandson, he's actually not a villain. He likes heroes. He likes superheroes. I can't remember why he was in prison.
Because a lot of it was due to his like tendencies to kind of go overboard with whenever he was creating androids or just his experiments, and because of that, he created those zombies to go work at a convenience shop for him to
That's
make money
right.
so that he could make funding.
Yeah, he made live zombies, and that's right, and then he got. Oh boy, that's funny. So then, basically, we skip ahead. Pan is training with Piccolo, so Piccolo's like training her now. He's kind of trying to teach her how to fly. I really like this scene in particular, how it's like there's no music, it's quiet, and he's just kind of talking to Pan, and they're having kind of like a, oh, great, thanks, buddy, whatever. Cat's drinking my water. But they're kind of just having like family, because Piccolo really is family to them, right?
Just him training the next generation in the Goku Gohan family tree,
And they make mention in this scene, Piccolo, Pan's like, is it true that my dad could be stronger than Grandpa Goku? And Piccolo's like, oh yeah, if he wanted to be, which I thought was great. He just flat out said it. He's like, oh hell yeah, if he really wanted to be, he could be stronger than Goku. And I was like, wow. I think Hunter, I think Dr. Hedo did kill a guy with the zombies or whatever. We fast forward. They... I'm reading it as we go. Piccolo pays Gohan a visit. This is when he goes to Gohan, because Gohan's like, I can't pick Pan up from school, and Vidal's kind of the same way. So Piccolo is obviously carrying the load here, and he takes care of Pan a lot of the time, and because Gohan's like, I'm studying and shit, and on top of all that, Piccolo gets he's trying to show Gohan, he's like, you're getting weak, so he gives him the weighted armor, and Gohan can't lift it very well because he's getting weaker and stuff, and so he's kind of trying to show him he's slacking off. So Piccolo gets like legitimately kind of angry. Piccolo returns home. He goes back to wherever he's hanging out. He's meditating, and that's when he gets attacked by Gamma 2, which is the first fight in the movie, and it's pretty fantastic. Now it takes a very long time. Again, I skimmed through that. I abridged it, if you will. But that's like 40 minutes into this hour and 40-minute movie. It took forever to get a fight.
Yeah. The car scene, as cool as it was a lot of that.
It was long, and there was a lot of neat animated stuff in it, like, the way Magenta's like, he's hitting all these buttons in his car because he's rich as fuck, and he's like, giving Hedo more things and negotiating, and there's just like more Oreos in the car or whatever. He loves Oreos, Jiro's grandson does, and stuff like that. So, basically, Gamma 2 ends up getting the best of Piccolo, but Piccolo escapes. Gamma 2 thinks he's killed him. So Piccolo ends up following Gamma 2 to figure out what's going on. He's trying to figure out who's behind this and what stuff. And he sneaks into the Red Ribbon Army base. He ends up overhearing the plans of Magenta, Hedo, and Carmine. And that's where he hears that they're developing not only more Gamma 1 and 2s, who have proven to be extremely powerful androids, because one of them just beat Piccolo, but they reveal that they're working on a new cell. So that's like the surprise. Hang on, I got a baby.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and mention that, because we kind of skipped over it, there was a lot of jokes early on in the movie that I loved. I think the comedy in this movie is really good.
Tell some of the jokes that you liked.
I loved when Hedo made the comment that you kind of start to notice whenever you see a car with a dome on the top of it drive by every day. Because his hair is so big, so he has to have a hollow spot on the top of the car. That was pretty funny.
I'm not recalling that one. I don't remember that one.
It's whenever they're like walking, he's walking down the street, and they like drive to pick him up, and they're like, because
I remembered. Okay, yeah, I do kind of remember that.
I also love whenever Carmine has a presentation, he always puts produced by Carmine, and all of the credits are always Carmine. That's right. The credits of the Carmine presentations is just like made by Carmine. It's just the entire credits. I thought the first time when that happened, and Magenta was like, huh. you took some pride in this one, didn't you? And he's like, yes. And you can see that his name's just everywhere, all over it. Oh, that was great. I loved those jokes.
Yeah.
Those were really funny.
Where were we in this? Oh, so Hedo he's working on Cell Max, and the leader of the Red Ribbon Army's like, unleash that motherfucker, you know? And Hedo is just like, no, I don't want to, because he's not ready. If you unleash him now, he's going to just go berserk. And foreshadowing, right? And so, you know, Piccolo is hearing, like, there's a new Cell. He's freaking the fuck out in this room, kind of. He's on disguise. He took a Red Ribbon, you know, outfit. And, you know, Hedo is just like, no, Gamma 1 and 2 are more than capable, obviously, because he just beat Piccolo, even if, you know, they kind of figure out, like, oh, wait, you didn't kill Piccolo, more than likely. So, you know, Magenta's drunk with power. He's just constantly wanting to activate Cell Max the whole movie. Piccolo, he ends up getting away. He contacts Bulma. He tells Bulma to contact Goku and Vegeta. So they, you know, end up trying to do that, and Goku and Vegeta are actually training with Broly. So this takes place right after, as we said, I think we said that earlier, right after the Broly movie. They're training with Broly on Beerus's planet, and, you know, they're kind of trying to teach Broly how to control his temper. That's his biggest weakness, actually. His weakness is he has a temper, and he just attacks anything and everything.
Yeah, he loses control.
But he's
quickly.
like a really good person now. It's such a drastic change from the original Broly.
It's a good dichotomy.
Yeah. And so, you know, he's mentally training, and he's doing his own thing. He's not physically training, and Goku's like, that's stupid. Why would you mentally train? You know, like, you should just physically train, because, like, you like, sitting on your ass isn't actually going to make you stronger, you know. And Vegeta, he makes reference to Jiren. He says something about Jiren. He's like, did you notice that Jiren only gets angry at the point of attack? Like, that's what Vegeta's trying to achieve. So Whis suggests, hey, let's find out if it did make you stronger. We're going to have Goku and Vegeta have a little sparring match with each other. So they're about to do that, and then, you know, Lord Beerus wakes up, and he's like, what's going on? And Lord Beerus notices that Broly's friends are on the planet. So there's what's his name? The Chi-Lai's friend. Beerus is like, you can stay because she's a fucking great chef. And then Chi-Lai, he literally is just like, you can stay because you're hot as fuck. Like, he doesn't say that, but the movie highly, like, he says something like, because they're kind of like, why is he okay with Chi-Lai being here? And Whis is like, oh, you didn't know Lord Beerus has a type, which I thought was just such a funny, weird development for that character. And I was like, that's interesting, because, like, he, you know, Bulma's probably, she looks like Chi-Lai, and there's the other character that he kind of tolerates, right? Like, I was like, that's funny. Limo, that's his name. That's the name of Chi-Lai's friend, Limo.
Yeah. I was just looking it up.
Yeah. So then, you know, Goku and Vegeta start fighting, which you get to see it. They don't, like, cut away. It's a part of this movie. It probably didn't need to be, but it's a pretty neat fight. They don't show the whole thing. It mostly has some foreshadowing for later, but you know, because they're really not in this movie. This really is a Piccolo Gohan movie. Like, by the way, I mean, it's their movie. It truly is. Goku and Vegeta show up just for some explanation to story, and I'm like, again, why would this movie not be canon when they spent so much trying to fit it into the super lore and story and fixing plot holes that even the show fucked up? So we'll get to some of those. That's right. They took him. I'm just kind of skimming through here. They took him to Beerus's planet specifically to avoid Frieza, because they thought Frieza wouldn't be there. Broly was there, or some shit. I don't know. Back on Earth, Piccolo goes to Korin to get some sensu beans. He's getting ready because he knows a fight's coming, right? Because this Cell Max thing is serious and whatnot. Bulma says she has no luck contacting Whis because an ice cream bowl lands on Whis's communicator.
His staff.
It's his staff, which allows him to communicate with Bulma. This is also where we get the Bulma butt scene when she's looking for the communicator, by the way. And they just show her ass, and they do like an ass shot for like 10 seconds of it just shaking.
They do not hold back with that.
Yeah, no. We know that they know their audience. Maybe, I don't know. Dragon Ball's never been extremely fan service. Well, the original maybe more so, but Z wasn't. And so that's where that was in the trailer. That's where that scene came in. By the way, Piccolo. He remembers. He needs a power boost, right? Piccolo's he's like, I'm fucking weak. I just lost a game or two. So he goes to Dende to ask if he can do the thing that Elder Guru did where he unlocked Gohan and, Krillin's potential, which is interesting because I was like, it's kind of weird that they, pulled that out all of a sudden. shouldn't Piccolo have any kind of hidden potential gone by this point? But I guess not. It's just one of those things, you're like, all right, fine, I'll believe it. So he unlocks a little, that's right, he says he can't do it, but the dragon can. So he goes and gets the Dragon Balls from Bulma. We get more comedic moments where Piccolo has his first wish, so the Earth Dragon can do 3 wishes now, thanks to Dende, and Piccolo's first wish is, give me my hidden potential, do the whatever. So Piccolo gets a little bit of power, and then he's like, I don't need the other 2 wishes, so Bulma's like, well, I want a nicer ass and bigger eyelashes or whatever. So Piccolo had discovered that she had been finding the Dragon Balls repeatedly and using them for cosmetics, which I just was funny. I also, and it's very Bulma, by the way, that's very extremely in character. Not to mention, the only thing that would really fuck up in terms of lore is if they were ever going to do the Shadow Dragons from GT. But I don't know if I doubt, at this point. And even if they did, they could still come up with another explanation.
They could.
The Goku and Vegeta fight, I actually do want to go back to that one thing because I missed. That fight was pretty gorgeous looking too. It was another really good use of the animation that they had.
One thing I was gonna mention about that fight scene was whenever they were fighting and Vegeta throws Goku into the lake, I thought the way that they animated the water was really fucking incredible because you couldn't even tell that was 3D space there.
No. The fights is what really excels, no pun intended, from this new animation style. It's just some of the other parts that I was like, sorry. Bulma used the other 2 wishes on minor cosmetics. Piccolo chastises for it. She points out that he hadn't thought about it either. So Bulma says something like, I didn't even think to use the wish to teleport Goku here. Whoops. So they, a lot of the explanations in this movie are kind of meh, but you accept them. They're nothing is too outrageous for Dragon Ball, which, we'll get to the transformations when we get to them, but, as much as Super has a really bad history of just giving out transformations and characters don't really earn them, I thought for an hour and 45-minute movie, they did about as good as you can do if you were to try to fit transformations. But we'll get there, because we're not there yet. Let's see. Back at the base, the Red Ribbon base, they basically come up with a plan to lure Gohan out. I can't remember why they wanted Gohan specifically. Were they just he's the next best warrior? I can't remember.
Well, I think he was telling Hedo... Magenta was telling Hedo that they have sources that say that the only person who's currently that they know of still there would be Gohan, or he's the easiest one for them to go to because they've noticed they been watching him and he's not that strong anymore.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of the explanations that they give as the Red Ribbon Army is that we're the Red Ribbon Army, we have connections.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So they come up with this plan to kidnap Pan, use her as a hostage to lure out Gohan. I do want to point out that some people had an issue with a particular moment in this scene where they're talking about how she is the famous granddaughter of Mr. Satan. They mentioned 2 things, and I can't remember if this is the part where they mentioned Bulma's family or if this is earlier in the movie, but if you do not know, the notion that Bulma's family's last name is Brief was done in certain versions of the English Funimation dub. So if you watch the English dub growing up like I did, Bulma's family's last name is not Brief. I found that out from this movie. I am not going to lie. Because when they said the Brief family dynasty at one point, it made sense. And then I went on Twitter and people were like, that's stupid. And I was like, why is that stupid? And I looked into it, and I guess that's not true. That's not canonical. They do. The only person in the family who's Dr. Brief is Dr. Brief, and that's his first name. They don't have last names. So I was like, wow, so there's really only like one family in this whole fucking series that has last names. It's Goku's son, son. And then on top of that, the other issue they had, they called him Hercule Satan because they mentioned him. His name is not Hercule. His name is Mr. Satan, but in the English dub back in the day, they tried to make it seem like his last name was Satan, or like he had an alias named Mr. Satan. His real name, I am not kidding. Actually, Mr. Satan is an alias, I guess, but in the English dub, they made it sound like, oh, his name is Hercule Satan. So they're keeping some of the old English Funimation dub stuff, is what I'm saying. So a lot of people were not a fan of that. I know Scott Ferrix from Team 4-Star, he's a big sub guy. He likes the Japanese canonical and stuff. He didn't like it. I thought it was really his name Hercule or Mr. Satan, his real name is Mark. I am not even fucking kidding. I found that out from this movie. I'm ashamed to admit it because I take pride in my Dragon Ball knowledge, and I just never, it's one of those things, like, I was taught wrong, and I just never recovered from the English dub, and I have seen the Japanese dub. I just didn't catch on. Or the Japanese, well, yeah, it is Japanese dub. I've seen Dragon Ball Z in Japanese. I've seen it in English and Japanese. And it was one of those things, like, I just never knew because the English dub fucked it up when I was growing up. So Hercule's not even a thing. His name is Mark. Mark. Like, wow. It's just like, that's so basic for one. And two, why? I mean, like, so I get, yeah, Mr. Satan is an alias. And
I assume that's his fighter name, isn't it?
Yeah, that I kind of figured out. Even in the English dub, you can kind of pick up on that. But, like, yeah, Hercule's not, I don't remember why they, and I don't remember where they say his name is Mark, but Toriyama said it in an interview a couple years ago. It's on the Dragon Ball wiki. I looked at it.
In Dragon Ball Z, they said his name was Mark?
I don't know where they say it, but in the Japanese dub, I guess, from what I understand, that's where you'll find out. You're never going to find him being called Mark in the English dub. But in the Japanese dub, whether it's the manga or whatever, one of the Japanese translations, they're like, yeah, his real name's Mark, but Mr. Satan's an alias. And I'm just like, it's okay. I guess I'll call him Mr. Satan from now on and keep it simple. So there you go. There's some knowledge. Where were we, though? So, yeah, this is back at the base. They're playing the Kidnap Pan. Piccolo's still in his uniform, so he's still kind of... He comes back to do more espionage, and he's basically like, well, I could kidnap Pan for you guys. I know exactly where she's at and stuff. And they kind of question it. They're like, how do you know so much about Pan? But they let him do it anyway. Because Magenta is just... He's in such a rush. It's his weakness, right? Like, he's too quick, too angsty this whole movie to get these people killed and get this kid and all that stuff. Because it leads to their downfall twice. Not only do they end up letting Piccolo be the one who kidnaps Pan, but he's also the one who later
I found out why he's called Mark.
Unleashes Cell Max. Go ahead. Why is he called Mark?
It's in the trivia section. It says Mark, aka Maku, is a pun on the Japanese word Akuma, which translates to devil, where his Mr. Satan fighter alias would come from.
So, I guess I knew that, but I just don't know when they say that. When was it explicitly said in the Japanese version that his name is Mark? That's what I don't remember.
And he also comes from a region of the world where they do not use surnames, hence his name is simply Mark. It's
so funny. I was laughing so hard. I was like, excuse me? His name, not only can I not call him Hercule anymore, but his name is Mark? I just cracked up. I really made me laugh. I was reading this in bed last night because I saw Scott Ferrix. Somebody online said something about it. And I saw Scott Frerick say, like, yeah, they called him Hercule Satan. I'm not a fan. So I was like, why are you not a fan? I wonder, I know he's not a big fan of the English dub in certain aspects. So I looked into it, and I was like, what? And then the Brief Family Dynasty. That one I was like, okay, I kind of figured that out right away. I was like, I guess I could see that. They actually call Bulma. They don't. Well, that's what's confusing, because it seemed like they were trying to get away from some of the old English dub mistakes. And because in Dragon Ball Super, they don't call her Dr. Bulma Briefs or Dr. Briefs or anything. They just call her Dr. Bulma. So I was like, okay. But yeah, I was ashamed to admit it, because I was like, I take great pride in my Dragon Ball knowledge, and I never knew that. Like, it was one of those things. Like, Scott Frerichs knows a lot about Dragon Ball. Like, he knows more about Dragon Ball than me at this point. Like, that dude has studied the shit out of Dragon Ball. So, because he studied it from. If you study it from the Japanese perspective, you're going to get a lot more information that is correct and stuff, because the English dubs back in the day especially fucked things up a lot. And, and even localization teams, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect process, right? So,
apparently, oh, wait. I'm only finding mentions of him being called Mark in Dragon Ball Kakarot.
Okay.
I have not found. I'm looking around.
Maybe it's just something Toriyama said. Maybe in that interview, he was just like, "Yeah, his name is Williams."
Yeah, I have been seeing a lot of people say that he's been known to say that his name's Mark, and just in a ton of interviews that he's done.
So we better get moving here, though. We can extend this just a smidge if we have to, because we do want to get through the whole thing. Piccolo ends up going with one of the soldiers to kidnap Pan. It's kind of a play on like, hey, Pan, I'm going to kidnap you. We're going to pretend. The guy tries to kidnap Pan at her school, and then Pan knocks him out. So Piccolo reveals himself because the guy's knocked out, and everybody wants to fuck Pan's teacher, by the way. That's all I'm seeing on Twitter. I'm not going to go look her up, I guess, but Pan has a teacher in this movie, and everybody wants to fuck her. So he picks her up at preschool like he was supposed to do earlier in the movie. Piccolo basically tells Pan the situation. He's like, I need you to pretend like you're kidnapped, blah, blah, blah. So he handcuffs her. He says, whenever you feel like breaking out, go ahead, if you're uncomfortable. Piccolo is such a good father figure or grandfather figure or whatever he is. Uncle Piccolo, is that what she calls him?
Uncle-o.
Soldier number 15, who was the guy was with Piccolo, when he wakes up, he's like, oh, you got the girl? Like, don't ever tell anybody how this happened, because he was the one who got knocked out by her, which is funny. When they get there, so then the two go to, they take Pan to the base, and the two go to Gohan, and they're like, we have your daughter. They show the video to Gohan. He's not taking him seriously at first. He's like, what, the Red Ribbon Army? What the fuck are you doing here? And then they show that they have Pan, and Gohan freaks out and goes Super Saiyan. So, that's when Piccolo comes up with the idea. He's like, wait a minute, if I can piss Gohan off, I could fucking get him back to his old self, And so they end up, Gohan going Super Saiyan creates a crater, the house falls, and they're like, oh, we'll take you to your daughter. And he's like, let's fucking go. So Gohan shows up. So they go to the base, and this is where the big, finale fight stuff starts. Gohan arrives at the base. He goes towards Pan, but, Gamma 1 intervenes. So they kind of fight a little bit. And Gohan is weaker than him, even at Super Saiyan. So because he's weaker, Piccolo does the whole thing. That's what he's like, now's the time to piss off Gohan. So he pretends like he's hurting Pan, or that he's like messing with her or something up there, and Pan screams out like, help. And that's when Gohan like freaks out, and he ends up going back to Ultimate Gohan. So, I mean, they're very aware of the audience's criticisms of, like, man, Gohan kind of sucks now, blah, blah, blah. Because Piccolo even says, like, the sentiments of a lot of fans that he says, we got the old Gohan back. Like, he's excited. Like, he's a fan of Gohan or something, Yeah. I think... so this is where Gohan gets the upper hand again. So Gamma 2 is ordered in. So now Gamma 1 and 2 are going to fight him together, but that's when Piccolo finally is like, fuck it, I'm stepping in, rips the clothes off, whatever. They.
Wait, which part of the clothes?
Which what?
Which part of his clothes?
Well, the disguise. He was still wearing the red ribbon disguise. He buffs up and he shit fucking rips off because he's fucking Piccolo.
Oh, he's fucking Piccolo now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gambit 2 reveals that he was holding back before, and so he actually still whips Piccolo's ass despite the power boost. He knocks Piccolo down, and this is where we get our first transformation. So he ends up knocking Piccolo into a really long crevice, and the dragon says, "I gave you some of my power," like in his head or something. So that was kind of cool. And a big light comes out, and Piccolo comes out as Orange Piccolo. Okay. I just want to stop here for a moment. The sequence in which he transformed was fucking awesome. So far, the fights in this movie, there's very few, but they've all kicked ass. I'm very positive about the movie at this point. There's really only, and we'll get there, because I haven't even got there yet. One major gripe I have with this movie, everything else is nitpicking. So even take this as a nitpick, but I do not really like the look of Orange Piccolo.
Yeah, he's
something.
Not good. He's not my favorite character.
He's something. He kind of gets like a bonier face structure. He does turn orange. He's a little
to get hard.
He looks like Super Piccolo. He like the way Vegeta went Super Vegeta. Like he gets that buff, And I wanted to believe that I liked this form, but the moment I saw it, I was in denial, because the moment I saw it, I immediately started thinking in my head, they fixed so many things from the Super show in this movie with some plot, and we probably skimmed over some of them, but they do fix some of the holes from the show.
The biggest one being that from Z to Super, Goten and Trunks stayed the same size.
Yes, they fixed that in this movie. It's a little silly, but they do. The moment I saw it, I was just thinking, like, is there any way they can change the look of this? Like, they can give another explanation, like he hadn't fully evolved yet or something like that. Because I didn't love it. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, it just didn't. It looked like they tried too hard. Honestly, to me, like he looks like a Namekian, but he doesn't look like Piccolo. So when I heard Piccolo's voice come out, I was like, something doesn't feel right here. Okay, I'm gonna set this baby down for a minute.
Yeah, I remember seeing it and thinking to myself that why is he orange?
Well, and I didn't necessarily mind the color change, although I personally, what I would have done is give him a different shade. I would have potentially, if you could, and maybe they tried this, so, who am I to say, but I feel like maybe they could have. So, like, the way Goku and Vegeta's transformations, why do they look so good? Well, because they still look like them. They just get blonde hair. It's a simple change, but it's a big deal. I was thinking, like, maybe you could just make Piccolo a little bit more green. I know that sounds silly, but no, seriously, if you made him, like, a dark green, he looks a little more menacing, and he has, like, a green aura coming out of him.
I mean, it would kind of be like, like how you see the different shades of Namekians in the first place. Because
wasn't there... him, like, more menacing eyes. Just a couple of subtle changes, and that's what makes it cool.
Make his features more sharp. Make him more, like, angular, I guess, would be the good way. Would be a good way of saying it. Like, give his eyes more like, angles to them. Just so he doesn't look as smooth. He's more to the point as opposed to bigger.
Yeah,
and green.
I don't hate Orange Piccolo. And I like the, you know what? I know some people are like, well, he didn't still really kind of earned it. He kind of just asked the dragon for it. And I was like, that's how he fucking fused with Kami. Back in the day, he was literally like, I'm fucking weak, Kami. Emerge with me. Like, it's not like, and they're like, oh, he didn't earn it. I'm like, well, it's almost the same story. He got his ass kicked. He went to the lookout, and they're like, well, the dragon can help you. There you go.
So my question for that would be, are people complaining about Gohan and Krillin back when they got those potentials awoken from the guru?
I think most people, because they have Piccolo on the mind, are mostly just relayed. Well, I think people have... that's what it is. They have the criticism of Super, so they're just thinking in Super terms. They didn't like how they got their blue forms. I agree. And, and some of the other transformations were kind of just given. Their royal blue was out of nowhere. Made no, it didn't really need to, Trunks' rage, Super Saiyan rage is one of the worst fucking things I've ever seen. Don't even get me started on that. Stuff like that. Like, so I think they're just kind of relating, and they're like, oh, here we go, another super one. And I'm like, no, honestly, it doesn't have to be, like, crazy. It's not like you have to see him train for 1,000 episodes. Like, those are some of the best transformations. Super Saiyan took forever. Ultra Instinct was teased and then took forever. Those are some of the better ones. But for that's what I was saying earlier in this review. For a movie that's an hour and 45 minutes long, and you're trying to give him new transformations, and it's totally fine to do that and give him some development because these two characters desperately need it, I thought it was fine. I'm not saying it's the best, like, build up to a transformation they've ever done, but I don't think it was, like, bad. I just think it was, like, good. There you go. That's fine. That's fine.
It works.
Yeah, it works. It works. It's silly, but it works. Since you guys have both brought it up, and I know we're not to that part of the movie yet, but yes, the way that they fix the another thing that a lot of people were like, oh, that's stupid, but I was like, it works. It's fine. It's not the biggest. They try to explain, like, why Goten and Trunks were still, they looked like kids and stuff, and Hunter brought it up. He said it wasn't even a fix, considering some Saiyans stay the same until around 13 or 14. That's the explanation that they give, is they basically, like, Piccolo, he looks at Goten and Trunks. They'll show up in a few scenes here. And he's kind of like, it's been a while since I've seen you guys. I didn't think it had been that long because they're all grown up now. And Trunks explains, like, yeah, Saiyans go through, like, or one of the two, explains that, like, Saiyans go through a crazy growth spurt at some point. And I'm like, sure, I could believe it. Just, Saiyans, like, need to get ready for battle earlier in their life or some bullshit like that. Sure, fuck it. I don't really care. Like, it's not the first time Dragon Ball's had, like, a weird explanation. Like, why do Goku and Vegeta not age by the end of Z and Bulma was aged? Well, because Saiyans last a little longer. They keep their youth longer because they need to be in battle for the most of their life. I'm like, sure, fuck it. It's not the worst explanation. I've heard worse with these, So I was like, that's fine. I'll take it. Thank God they're grown up, because it's about time. Same happened to Goku. Yeah, I guess you could make that argument. Yeah, and I remember the original Dragon Ball. It's wild when, like, on one page you see Goku as a kid, and then when you flip the page to see him as an adult. Even to this day, like, when I see that, I'm just like, wow. I mean, it's like, it feels like not the same character. Pan ends up, so while Piccolo's doing his stronger form, he takes out Gamma 2 with a single punch, so he's very powerful. Pan starts beating up some Red Ribbon Army guys, and Magenta and Carmine start to freak out, so they retreat. The Gammas, Piccolo ends up talking to one of the Gammas during the fight, and he ends up getting them to understand and convince them that they've been fooled and that they're actually the
they've actually been working with the evil guys the whole time. As opposed to them thinking the opposite.
Sorry, I got babies grabbing cords again. So yeah, and then so the Gammas kind of, they turn, whatever, or they start to turn. The battle seems to be over. Everyone regroups with the Gammas, so they're kind of, they're on their side now. Bulma shows up, and she brings Trunks, Goten, Krillin, and 18. This is the scene where he's like, oh, I haven't seen you guys in a while. So we were almost there. Piccolo is surprised to see Goten and Trunks have grown so much. Gohan notes that Saiyans remains... Oh, so it's Gohan that explains that Saiyans remain small until they hit a certain age, and then they have a radical growth spurt. Gohan asks Piccolo about his new form. Piccolo says that Shenron helped him with it. Gohan decides that he's just going to give him the name Orange Piccolo. Whatever. Inside the base, Magenta is preparing to awaken Cell Max. So here we go. Cell is back. Some people speculated it. They were right. There was leaks. We'll get to my feelings on him. But so he's trying to awaken Cell Max, and Dr. Hedo was like, don't fucking do that. You're going to fuck, he's still not ready. He's going to fucking, and blah, blah, blah. Magenta attempts to shoot Dr. Hedo, which does not work because they explained earlier in the movie that Dr. Hedo has infused his skin cells with something that can stop impacts or something. So that comes into play here. And Dr. Hedo ends up stinging him with his mechanical bee, which can kill him. And while Magenta is dying, he goes and he activates Cellmax. Okay, so we got our final fight here. Cellmax comes out. Dr. Hedo is trying to explain it to them as he's run away, and he's like, "You guys need to get out of here, whatever." And everybody goes into the fight except for Krillin and Hedo, of course. So the Gammas, Piccolo, Gohan, Android 18, the two boys, Krillin, Bulma, and someone else, and Pan stay behind. So there's some point in here that I'm going to miss it, probably, where Pan ends up learning how to fly.
It's when Cellmax first comes out and he starts blowing up everything with his, what looks to be like a negative energy ball.
That's right. And she kind of...
Krillin screams that she has to fly to get away from the explosion.
That's right. So she ends up flying, which is what Piccolo was training her how to do earlier in the movie we mentioned. Piccolo and Gohan are tied from their previous battle. Gohan ends up dropping one of the sensu beans, and Piccolo only had 2 from when he went to Korin's tower. So that'll come into play in a moment. By the way, so Cellmax is already out, right? They're fighting him. I kind of skimmed that part. He does come out. I kind of like his design. He looks like Cell, but certain parts of his body are trimmed with red. So, again, you can look that up. I'm not going to show it here. But, so Cellmax, he looks like his second form. He doesn't talk or anything. He's not like the Cell that we've known, from before. And it's a completely new Cell. He's extremely powerful, and he's giant. He's more like a kaiju than he is like a person.
He's like Slug.
Yeah.
In his giant form.
Yeah, he's just huge. And he just screams. He just fucking goes, "Barr!" And kind of has.
Yeah, he's not smart. He's a big dum-dum.
Yeah, I mean he's incomplete in more ways than one compared to before. The Gammas reveal Dr. Hedo built a weakness. You got to hit him on the head, just in case something like that happened. Okay, fair enough. No one's able to make a lot of progress. He did shrug off Piccolo's special beam cannon. When Piccolo, he did hit him in the head with it. Didn't work. Gotenks tried... Another comedic moment. Gotenks tried the fuse. So, they do the... Trunks is like, "We should fuse." And Goten's like, "How does that work again?" And then they try it, and the fingers don't line up, and we get the return of Fat Gotenks, who ends up being more in the way than anything because Max knocks him aside, and he gets in Piccolo's way, so Piccolo's like, "Get the fuck out of here," and he knocks him away, and then Piccolo, when he knocked him away, went into Android 18, so Android 18's "Get the fuck out of here," so she knocks him away. So he's just getting bounced around. Everybody's like, "God damn it," they're more annoyed with Fat Gotenks than anything. Gamma 2 decides he's going to sacrifice himself to destroy this thing, so he flies all the way up in the air, charges up all of his power. He comes on down, and he lands on his head. And that's when the explosion happens, where Pan learns how to fly, actually. So, that's right, because that's the part where Gamma 2... Okay, so it says that he missed. I'm getting a little muddled here. Basically, Pan learns how to fly, but he does end up sacrificing himself, hitting him on the head, and...
he doesn't hit him on the head. He hits his arm.
That's
because
right.
He puts it in front of him, and he blasts his arm off, so he's only got one arm at this point now.
That's right. Yeah. So he has one arm. It didn't work. Cellmax tries to stop Dr. Hedo, but Piccolo blocks it. And he brings back an old technique, because I think, is Gohan the one who suggested it? Oh, Krillin. No, Krillin's the one's like, remember that? Which I thought was so cool. It's like, wow, throwback to Dragon Ball. And the way they did it made sense. It was like, oh, Krillin would be the one who knows about that. That is one thing I'm going to stop for a moment. I'm going to give this movie a lot of props for, unlike Dragon Ball Super, the show, I feel like there's a lot of things that it's almost, I don't know if Toriyama was in charge of this, whoever remembered, okay, well, if anybody's going to remember his giant technique, which he hasn't used in fucking forever, it would be Krillin because he was there that day. And I'm like, oh, they really thought about a lot of the lore things with Dragon Ball in this. Whereas sometimes in Super, it kind of feels like they're like, whatever, like it'll work,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great explanations for things. So he does that. He lifts him up. Gohan's like, well, you should be able to beat him now. You're huge. And, Piccolo, they remember the technique. He's like, nope. I get bigger, but I don't get stronger. So it's a bluff. I lifted him up and I pushed him back for a moment. He gives Gohan the last Senzu Bean. Piccolo does, because he's like, I believe this will work. Trust me. Piccolo starts getting his fucking ass kicked. Like, just Cell Max is just destroying him, and it's like a kaiju battle now, right? They're bonking each other. Gohan's like, oh, I need to get in there, get involved. Gohan's trying to like power up or some shit. And Piccolo's like, no, a little longer. And eventually, Cell Max gets the best of him, and it looks like he kills him. So he punches him in the air, kind of breaks him
on his hand,
right? And you can see Piccolo's eyes look like they've rolled in the back of his head, and that's when Gohan snaps, so we get our second transformation. So, the better of the two, and definitely one of the more hype moments of the movie. He transforms into Beast Gohan. It's ridiculous-ass hair, just ridiculously long and spiked back. Like, it doesn't drape down like Super Saiyan 3. It is literally just like a fucking palm tree spiked to the back of his head.
It's like he used 5 bottles of hair gel on it.
Yep. Basically, Piccolo holds down Cell Max. There's some things going on, and Gohan blocks Cell Max's attack, actually, first, and he's like, is that all you got? He's really cool. He looks like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. I mean, this was a duplicate of that moment. It's a Super Saiyan 2 transformation teenage Gohan moment. It's exactly the same. Somebody dies, because Piccolo doesn't die. And Gohan, by the way, I didn't even mention that. They give him a new haircut in this movie that he looks fantastic. It's one of the best he's ever looked. Adult Gohan actually looks like he has the teenage Gohan haircut where his hair kind of spikes out at different corners like his dad's does to an extent. And then this transformation, Beast Gohan, is definitely like a Super Saiyan 2, but with longer. So, like I said, Super Saiyan 2 spikes way back. Same thing with this. So I really like those aspects there. Basically, Piccolo holds him down. Gohan shows that he learned the special beam cannon, hits Cell Max on the head. And Piccolo's like, oh, where'd you learn that? And Gohan's like, I've been maybe training in secret sometimes or whatever. So they got some, whatever. Gamma 2's dead. There you go. Dr. Hedo and Gamma 1 go to live with Bulma at Capsule Corp like every other character that they're not going to use does. There is an end credit scene, which is kind of I guess it's a big deal, but they do it in a silly way. That's right. Piccolo did the same thing Goku did with Cell. I didn't even think about that. Piccolo did the same thing with Gohan that Goku did with Cell, where he believed in his ability to beat him at the time. The end credit scene, real quick. Basically, Goku and Vegeta are coming to the end of their fight, and it's very sluggish at this point, and Vegeta wins. he actually beats Goku. It's done kind of comedically, but he does have a win against him now. I know some people are like, actually, it's 2-1 because Majin and Vegeta knocked them out, and I was like, yeah, it was like a draw. Like, they gave up, and then Vegeta tricked him just so he could go fight Majin Buu himself to save Goku's life. I don't know if you'd call that, whatever. I don't know if I count that, but good fight. But so just the last couple closing thoughts. That was it. That was the whole movie. And they do have a timeline placement here. I won't get into it right now, but people are starting to be like, okay, here it is. And I think they even said this is true. It's purely written as a sequel to Broly. But it says, but the Galactic Patrol Prisoner and Granola the Survivor sagas are not referenced because it's created in parallel with that. So, weird. Anyway, I won't get into the timeline. That's a whole other conversation right now. So my last thing, and this is the biggest gripe I have with the movie. It's the one thing that really sets some of it back for me. It feels very long. didn't have a problem with it being an hour. Hour and 45 minutes isn't that bad for a movie. I'm always complaining about how long these fucking movies are nowadays. And I was like, you know what? Hour 45, I was looking forward to that. I was like, thank God it's not 2 hours or 2.5 or... Yet there were still parts that I felt like could have been shortened. But that being said, I was pretty entertained with everything. So my answer is, would I have shortened it? No, not at all. I think a lot of the exposition is what this series and this movie needed. And the way they did it in an hour and a half just in a movie was very, very well done. I really like this movie. It's one of the better Dragon Ball movies. I don't like it as much as Broly, but it's very, very good. It's top 5 for me for sure, maybe even top 3. My biggest gripe, and I think it could have helped some of these parts, I've already talked to you about this, but Cell Max kind of sucks. That's my opinion. I don't know. I actually don't know how people feel about Cell Max, but I haven't heard a lot of people talking about him, which to me feels more of an indictment on him. He is literally just a giant kaiju cell screaming, no character whatsoever. And the one thing this movie really suffered in my opinion, was an ultimate villain at the end, a good-looking boss villain for people to be like, he's interesting, he's different. For Gohan and Piccolo to get their transformations on and fight. Bringing back Cell feels like nostalgia bait, but as I explained, I know I talked to you about this. The one thing that's really weird is it's not nostalgia bait, though, because if they wanted to get people to go see the movie because Cell was in it, why wouldn't they have marketed that Cell is in the movie? So I'm not really sure why they use Cell. I guess it just made sense for Red Ribbon and stuff like that. Because it's not the original Cell, and then the version of Cell we did get, while he looks kind of cool, I like the way he looks. Okay. He kind of just is a giant kaiju with screams. I didn't understand. I wasn't a big fan. I was like, he's okay. You know. He's okay. You got any thoughts?
I mean, yeah, you already talked to me about it. So
yeah. That's how I feel. I don't know.
I do agree. I do agree that all of that.
Yeah. That being said, even that feels a bit nitpicky. It's a good movie. I agree with I don't remember. Maybe I think it was Hunter because he's probably the only other one who's seen this. I give it an 8, maybe an 8.5. Actually, as the days went on, because we saw this Sunday night. Sunday.
Yeah.
So we saw it a little later than everybody else. It actually grew on me more, and I was like, I actually do want to see this again. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I don't think it's quite a 9 for me, but damn. I mean, like, I almost feel like 8's too low, but I also feel like 9's too high. So we're going to go middle. I'm not a numbers guy, but I know some of you guys like the numbers. I think you should just listen to what I said and my thoughts more than the numbers, but if I had to, that's probably where I'd say it.
Ultimately, would I recommend watching this movie? Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's one of the best.
If you aren't going to put a number to it, just go watch it. It's a good movie.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. I that was only my major complaint. Everything else that I complain about, like, I don't know, what else would I complain about? Maybe there were certain parts where there was too much exposition. It's like, it's kind of a nitpick. It's like, I could go either way. I could say there could be a little bit more. Honestly, some people might argue there could be less. Like, one way or the other. I kind of flip that around. I meant to say it the other way around. But still, like, out of 10 Dragon Balls, 8, well, you can't do 8.5 Dragon Balls. And there's not 10. I give it 4.5 Black Star Dragon Balls.
So you're giving it a negative review because those are powered with negative energy. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's one. A couple other things. Just we'll do a couple last things about the movie. More general things. We gone through the plot. We talked about the animation. I do want to talk about the OST, the soundtrack. I thought it was really good.
I thought it was really fucking good.
Yeah,
too.
there was some parts.
Some of the fight. Yeah, some of the fight songs. Oh my god, I was like, I want to look this up and listen to it now.
I don't remember in the music. I can't play any of it here, because it's Twitch. But I remember somewhere in the Cell Max fight. I'm not sure if it's with one of the boys' transformations. They had some really good, epic, like, dramatic music. Is it generic? Yeah, it's generic, but it's really good. I mean, it's it's not like You're not getting like Crush 40 or something like with lyrics and stuff. Nothing like that. But the one fight that is actually really epic, it's short, but when Piccolo's fighting Gamma 2 and they're playing like superhero music, it's really good. It fits really well. Because I don't remember what the song is, but if you can imagine just some kind of like the Avengers theme, it's something like that. Like it's playing like superhero music because that's what Gamma 1 and 2 are supposed to be. They're superheroes dreamed up by this 24-year-old who looks like a child, Dr. Hedo. And the OST was really good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm kind of missing here. But I thought it was really good for Super. Again, I still can't figure out what's canon, what's not. I don't really care. Like in terms of a good Dragon Ball movie that does a lot of good things for Super, this is it. Yeah, it's really good. I was genuinely happy because people were worried about this, and Diana did watch it, Gabe, but she was asleep half of it, so I don't know if she cared for it. I don't know. I think that might be all I can think of. So, you have anything you want to add before we end this?
No, you've covered it pretty well. I feel like I've given all the opinions that I have so far.
Okay.
That hasn't been covered by you, I guess.
This one actually does. I'm reading this here. In terms of development, it says the original series author, Akira Toriyama, once again provides the original concept in writing the script, including every detail of the dialogue, drew the characters, and changed pre-existing characters to their manga designs instead of those used in the anime. It has been said that he was more invested in this film than he was with the previous 3. So that's interesting. Super is used twice in the film's name, as Toriyama forgot that the main title was Dragon Ball Super rather than just Dragon Ball. The double usage is just unintentional. Oh, so that's why it's called Dragon Ball Superhero, because he forgot. He didn't know. This guy.
Classic Toriyama.
Yeah, like how the fuck? So he meant to call it Dragon Ball Superhero, and he didn't think like, oh, the show is called Dragon Ball Super now. It's not Dragon Ball. Jesus Christ. It actually began before the release of Super Broly, so that's interesting. And Piccolo was going to be the only lead, but Ioku, which is the guy we talked about in that interview earlier, was the one who said Gohan should also play a big part in it. Toriyama does not script out battle scenes anymore, I guess. Besides the fact, like, oh, these two have a big battle, I guess he does not do the choreography, so that's interesting. They've taken some of the load off of the old timer. Well, that was some fun little facts there. But yeah, I think we're good. I think we gave our review. It's really good. Go watch it. Whatever. I'll post this on the YouTube, but unfortunately, it probably won't be for a few days because I've been tired lately. I haven't been able to get to doing some video stuff when I get home. I was supposed to post Sonic Frontier stuff today, and I didn't. So wait till next week if you want to see this again or whatever, whoever. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the movie. If you had seen it, if you didn't see it, go, because it's one of the better Dragon Ball movies, especially if you like Gohan. That Beast Mode is fucking, or Beast Form, whatever the fuck. Beast Gohan. He's amazing. He's such a ridiculous, I mean, he kind of looks like a fan-made Dragon Ball transformation again, but it's so fucking cool. I didn't even care. Orange Piccolo's man. Anyway. So we'll see you guys later. I am for sure not streaming until Monday. I don't know what we're going to stream. I had some plans in my head that I'll go over with Josh and Austin. But, yeah, I'll see you guys later.
See ya.
See ya.